Welcome to Awesome Movie Year, the podcast where we take a look back at an awesome year for movies, which is every year. I'm Josh Bell, film critic and writer, and I'm joined by my co-host.
I'm Jason Harris, filmmaker, comedian, and guy who talks about things we've already talked about.
Oh, that's what's happening here.
Yeah.
We have reached somehow the end. I feel like it was a very quick experience because partially some behind the scenes info. We have gotten a lot of recording done beforehand, but it went quickly here. Our season on the films of 1985, that year that was chosen by our producer David Rosen, and that Jason, you seem to think was one of the best years that we've done.
I really had a fun time with this. I mean, what I think was so much fun is all the pop cultural movies really hit. All the prestige movies did not. Suck it, you prestige films. You suck it hard.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as I think we talked about in our episodes on some of those big pop culture movies, this was a period, this was a time when those blockbusters were really dominating culture. And the 80s, I think, more than anything, is the era when we start getting these blockbuster properties that we just can never let go of. And so
I agree.
They continue to be referenced and remade and remixed and whatever into the present. And people are familiar with them even if they weren't alive in the 80s.
It's wild how that whole, the decade, they captured like a whimsy and like a magical spirit and just kind of something that made everyone feel like it was part of their childhood, whether they were or not. And like, it hasn't been recaptured since.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure I would be as positive or put as positive a
spin
on it
of course you wouldn't.
As you have there. I mean, in part because, as we talked about, some of these pop culture-y things I really didn't care for. But I mean, I think it's as much a product of like, yes, there's genuine nostalgia there, or there's genuine love for these characters and properties, even from people who don't have nostalgia for them. But I think it's also a product of the corporate existence, the corporate consolidation of movie studios and stuff that really accelerated at this time and continues to accelerate, and their discovery of the value of IP and being able to exploit that over and over again.
And we love that for film. Corporations and IP, we're all
right.
about that here.
Yeah, well, I think that's what I'm saying is less.
But what I'm saying is like here it was like you're saying, to use a corporate word, perhaps a synergy of things.
Yes.
Whereas it just became just flat. Like the storytelling was still the point, right? Like you weren't like, yeah, no, it was, dude. Sorry, buddy. You're just going to have to deal with it. So, I mean, it wasn't like, oh, here's a corporate thing. And now it's just like they're just giant advertisements and no one tries a lot.
Okay. I mean, yeah, I think you can give credit on that front. To some of the big pop culture sensations that we talked about, like Back to the Future and Pee-wee's Big Adventure, and even The Goonies, which I didn't care for. But, we did a whole episode on a feature-length toy commercial called He-Man and She-Ra, The Secret of the Sword, which was a choice among 3 feature-length toy commercials that we could have talked about.
Yeah, I'll give you that. They sucked ass.
And He-Man and She-Ra, and, maybe less so the Care Bears and Rainbow Bright, but I guarantee you those are both in the process of being revived right now. They are definitely the same kind of pop culture IP corporate value as some of these other things that we talked about.
Ass suckers.
Yes, exactly. So we started the season by talking about the box office champion, which was Back to the Future. Some other big movies at the box office, a couple of franchise movies, Rambo First Blood Part 2 and Rocky IV, both starring Sylvester Stallone.
Wow, what a year for this guy.
It really was. And both at the point where the character turned into this sort of jingoistic caricature as opposed to how it started out. But this was a time when, these prestige movies also did make a lot of money. The Color Purple and Out of Africa, Witness, all of which were Best Picture nominees, also in the box office top 10, along with Cocoon, The Jewel of the Nile, The Goonies that we talked about, and Spies Like Us.
I find it interesting. I mean, in a way, I think this is a year where, like right now, the current year or last year, 2025, where two of the biggest films were One Battle After Another and Sinners, and those were the two major awards winners, for the Oscars and throughout everything. That, like, yes, finally, we're getting back to the point where big box office can come from adult driven, kind of original stories or adapted stories, if you will, that are not IP.
Yeah, I mean, I was mixed on both of those movies, but I definitely am heartened to see the success of those films and the fact that they can be both very popular at the box office and heavily awarded. I think they're still I mean, I'd have to look at the box office top 10 from last year, but I bet even though they both made a lot of money, they're not in the top 10. And whereas, these prestige movies from 85 are, but it's nice that we can have maybe some kind of balance there if possible.
I agree. More original stuff. Give it to us, guys. Give it to us, Hollywood. First feature, Josh. It was a pretty easy choice for us. Pee-wee's Big Adventure, Tim Burton. This is at least the second Tim Burton film that we've covered. I gave it 5 stars. Dave, I think, was right there with me. You love this movie too. You gave it 4, which is like 6 stars from us. We all loved it, and it's a great vehicle showcasing a genius and a collaborator who accentuates that genius and even kind of elevates that genius, who was also a genius in his own right for a while, I'd say. Other choices for me, dude, Better Off Dead, Savage Steve Holland. I love that movie. Josh, you think we got a little Savage Steve coming up here?
Maybe I think we do, and I think this may. You weren't the only one who was excited about this movie, and I enjoy it too. I think on this front, my thought was Savage Steve Holland hasn't had that kind of career necessarily to to be as notable a filmmaker, but sure, Better Off Dead. Lots of fun.
I think it's one of the most beloved 80s films that represent the 80s. So I'm excited for us to cover that. The other two were Mala Noche with Gus Van Sant, who Josh said is not worthy of an episode, and Louie Bluey by Terry Zwigoff. We already covered Crumb.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure. Obviously, I did not say that, but
we've covered Elephant. We've covered
we've talked about both of those directors, and I think also those movies are just not. I mean, I'm not really familiar with those movies at all, even though I know the directors. So I think that might have been a thing. Pee-wee was obviously a good choice for us.
I know you are, but what am I?
Oh, yeah, clever humor.
Killed him, Dave.
Oh yeah.
The Cannes Film Festival Palme d'Or winner that we discussed was When Father Was Away on Business by Amir Kusturica. Some of the other notable films in competition at Cannes this year from major filmmakers, Alan Parker's Birdie, Claude Chabrol had a film called Cop au Vin, Jean-Luc Godard, Detective, not a Godard film that I'm familiar with. And I think this is, looking through here, I was like, oh, there's a lot of notable directors, but then with films that I don't really know. Nicholas Roeg's Insignificance, Ted Kotcheff's Joshua Then and Now, Kiss of the Spider Woman, which we have talked about a little bit, Peter Bogdanovich's Mask, Paul Schrader's Mishima, A Life in 4 Chapters.
I mean, you know those movies.
Yeah, those ones I do know, and Pale Rider by Clint Eastwood, and Andre Téchenet's Rendezvous. So, but not necessarily, other maybe than Paul Schrader, Mishima, A Life in 4 Chapters, not necessarily the most notable films by these major filmmakers.
Mask was on TV all the time when we were kids. So
was it? I never saw it.
Yeah. Rocky Dennis, bro. Come on, man. Get with it.
As we discussed in our He-Man episode, I just liked Mask the toys. We're not about this
good.
movie. Yeah,
they had a good fortress, that Mask fortress, that bad guy lair.
Yeah,
So we covered the When Father Was Away on Business. None of us were real fans of that one. None of us really dug that one, Josh. I would say.
Yeah, it was. It was an interesting thing to look at.
At the time of recording, they just announced the Cannes lineup this week for 2026. And it's wild how few American films are going to be shown this year.
Well, American filmmakers are not stepping up.
Yeah, that's fair. That's right. The flop, Josh. I thought we were going to do Brazil. That was the one I really thought we were going to get to. Terry Gilliam's excellent film. Some other ones, Fast Forward, Perfect, the gym, what would you call that? The workout movie with Jamie Lee Curtis and John Travolta showing a lot of crotch in there, right?
The aerobics were big in the
aerobics,
80s, I think. Yeah, that's the aerobics movie.
Yeah. Secret of the Lost Legend and Baby, and then Daryl. The one we did, of course, was Clue, which is beloved, Josh, but we didn't beloved it.
No, we didn't. And yeah, Baby Secret of the Lost Legend is one movie.
I don't even know what that is. What is it?
I think it's about a dinosaur. It's like a kid's movie that's about like they find a dinosaur or something. A cute little dinosaur. I haven't seen, I mean, other than Brazil, I actually have not seen any of these. And Brazil is great. I think the thing with Brazil maybe was that we had talked about Terry Gilliam before, and not that we couldn't talk about him again. But in part it was, even though, as you said, Jason, we did not agree, Clue is beloved. It is one of those movies that is up there as this big pop culture product now, pop culture property, even if at the time it wasn't a hit.
I really feel like Daryl would be something to watch now because it follows a seemingly normal boy who turns out to be a top secret military created robot with superhuman abilities. Like, that sounds exactly like what so many of our things are going on right now.
Yeah, maybe they should remake Daryl.
I'm sure they will now that you said it.
Yeah.
By the way, shout out to the Clue burlesque parody, which is here in Las Vegas. I want to. No, it sounds like fun.
You shouted him out without seeing.
You could do that.
So yeah, I mean, but I think that's evidence of the fact that there's a burlesque parody of it is evidence of how much it's permeated pop culture still to this day.
Cluelesque.
So, yeah. Our documentary episode, we talked about the great Ken Burns and his early film, The Statue of Liberty. Maybe not his greatest work, but certainly Ken Burns.
But we sure don't know.
Ken Burns is a legend among documentary filmmakers. Some other possibilities: The Times of Harvey Milk, Streetwise, In Heaven There Is No Beer, which is a Les Blank film, and we've talked about Les Blank, and he's great. Broken Rainbow and Tokyo Ga. Jason, I think you made this list mostly. I'm not sure. Other than the Les Blank movie and Harvey Milk, I'm not familiar with these other ones.
Yeah, did Harvey Milk? It might have won the.
I believe that might have won the Oscar. There. Yeah,
isn't it Streetwise about? It might even be about underage underage homeless people living in Seattle. I think it's a very influential film. Broken Rainbow we talked about as kind of the forced migration of Native Americans. So I don't remember what Tokyo Ga was, but it seems like it was actually pretty. These all sound pretty interesting to me.
Yeah, and you're right. The Times of Harvey Milk was the Oscar winner for Best Documentary in '85. So I think they're probably all interesting, but it was good for us to check in on old Ken Burnsy there. Burnsy.
That's what you call him because you guys are close.
We are.
And Josh, and Tokyo Ga would have fit in perfectly as an awesome movie your pick because it's a Wim Wenders directed documentary about Yasuhiro Ozu.
All right.
So we've covered both of those filmmakers, and that would have been an interesting pick.
Yeah, I mean, it's always interesting to see. I feel like we mentioned maybe last season or 2 seasons ago a Peter Bogdanovich film that was a film about a filmmaker, and always interesting when these major filmmakers decide to make a film about another major filmmaker. So I'm sure he had a lot of insight there, Wim Wenders, into Ozu. So maybe we'll get to that someday. My pick was Desperately Seeking Susan, which none of us loved, even I don't love, but I thought it was a major pop culture moment and wanted to talk about Madonna. And I think it's fun. The only other movie I was considering was Return to Oz, which, Jason, I think you randomly watched while we were recording this season anyway, and didn't.
I did not randomly watch it. I took
happened to watch it.
Yeah. Scarlett and my daughter and I went to see The Wizard of Oz at the Sphere, which was amazing. And I just was like, we should watch this too. And she was really into it. She says she wants to be one of the wheelers or the wheelies for Halloween. And I'm like, that's going to be really hard to trick or treat like that. So.
I'm glad that she was into it because I think you were not. And I love it. It's so dark and weird. And it's just like it's a bold way to follow up like this beloved family classic with something so disturbing.
Well, you've always been a Fairuza Balk stan.
I like her. She's good in it.
See, I just told you.
And she's good in The Craft. I feel like her performance in The Craft is an extension of her performance as Dorothy in that film.
Josh, we had a lot of choices for our foreign film pick, but we made the right choice. Ran, which those battles are still some of the greatest I've ever seen. Really glad that we picked a Kurosawa movie. Finally, maybe we'll get to Louis Malle if you ever end up boycott on him. The other big one is the hard Russian war film Come and See, which is exploding all over the socials as something that you got to watch there. So that was going to be our other one. Tampopo is a beloved film. I think that would have been a good pick. We talked about Three Men in a Cradle, which was the French inspiration for Three Men and a Baby. My Life as a Dog, very famous film. There's so many of them, Wheels on Fire. What do you got, Josh?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you, I think, had put together most of this list, but I have seen Tampopo, which I think you would have enjoyed because it's such a weird foodie movie. Yeah, I was kind of baffled by it. My Beautiful Laundrette. And I'm kind of curious to see Three Men in a Cradle just because I think, as we mentioned, it was also one of the Oscar nominees this year. And, as the source material for Three Men and a Baby, which we did do an episode on, how that kind of came about. So that's one that I would be curious about. I can read, honestly, I'm not familiar with a lot of these that we had listed initially. The Official Story, Stronghold, Wheels of Fire, Space Transformer, Came a Hot Friday.
That's why I left a lot of these out.
Dream Child, The Legend of Surum Fortress, and Police. But you did the research, Jason. You noted all these films down, and we should shout them out.
I did note them.
Good job.
Thank you.
So, for our animation pick, we talked about the very strange Will Vinton stop motion animated film, The Adventures of Mark Twain, which was an interesting pick to talk about. Other possibilities, Disney's The Black Cauldron, which is one of Disney's less successful films, but I think has its own kind of cult following right now.
Yeah, people like that one.
Yeah, Here Come the Littles, which is a book adaptation. And we did throw in the Care Bears movie, which ended up being one of our audience choice possibilities. But I think among those, that's one that maybe stands on its own as a movie. Probably not, though.
I was fighting for Follow That Bird,
which is not animated in any way.
So Josh disqualified it because of
the
that.
The non-animated movie was disqualified from our animated category.
Okay. You and your rules, whatever.
I think you're doing a disservice to animation by saying, just because it's a kid's movie, it should go in there, because there's so much more to animation than movies for kids.
Narc.
I love Follow That Bird. I did.
It is a great movie.
It was the first movie. It was the first movie I saw in a theater as a child. It was a formative thing for me, but it's not animated at all.
Nope, it sure isn't. Pied Piper, though, Josh, is you wrote, and I quote, a very fucked up looking Czech movie. So I'm interested in that.
Well, the problem with that was that I was wrong, and that did not come out in 1985. And I don't know, we ended up switching things up because that's a 1986 movie. So maybe we can revisit it at that point.
Good that you disqualified yourself.
I did. We had to change our plan when I realized that I had been mistaken.
Look, there was only a few picks for me. We went with The Goonies, a kid's classic that you assholes just torched for no reason at all. Another one that Dave and I did a live episode on for his Piecing It Together podcast for the 40-year anniversary of The Last Dragon.
Hell yeah.
Was recent. And I love The Last Dragon. I had the most fun at that screening. I went with Scarlett. We had such a good time. That was fun. And then, of course, maybe the most quintessential of 80s teen angst films, The Breakfast Club. But we've talked about John Hughes before, so I went with The Goonies instead.
And, as much as I didn't like The Goonies, and Dave really didn't like The Goonies, it's clearly a major film. And, I think it was important for us to talk about. And I've never seen The Last Dragon, so maybe I should see that.
Show enough, you should.
Show enough.
Breakfast Club? Amazing.
Sure. Yeah, sure. Okay. The Sundance Grand Jury Prize winner that we talked about was the Coen brothers' Blood Simple. Some other winners that year at Sundance. And it's interesting, this was the second year of Sundance as Sundance when it had changed from the US Film Festival and still kind of finding its footing. It wasn't necessarily the, premier venue for independent film at the time. So a lot of stuff here that won awards at Sundance that I have not heard of. The Grand Jury Prize for documentary went to a film called 17 that's about coming of age in working class America, originally made for PBS. Some other ones that I was familiar with, we just talked about both these documentaries, Streetwise, which won a special jury prize for documentary, and The Times of Harvey Milk also won a special jury prize for documentary. Jim Jarmusch's Stranger Than Paradise won a dramatic special jury recognition, as well as John Sayles' The Brother from Another Planet, also a special jury recognition, and Les Blank's In Heaven There Is No Beer. Some other award winners here that I don't know, Almost You, a romantic comedy starring Brooke Adams and Griffin Dunn, Caddish, a documentary, and The Killing Floor, directed by Bill Duke, about a 1919 Chicago race riot. So, also made for TV. Interesting that this is kind of Sundance's cobbling together, made for TV movies and PBS documentaries.
The beginning, yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of what was going on there.
You mentioned some movies. I would like to see that Bill Duke movie. I love Jim Jarmusch. We're going to get to him eventually, but A Stranger Than Paradise, I think, is one of the ignition points for independent film in America in the 80s. I know Spike Lee talks about what an influence Jarmusch was. And I kind of mentioned in our Seidelman episode that I feel like she was just kind of putting her footprints in the steps that Jarmusch had already taken. So I'm a big fan.
Yeah, I'm mixed on Jim Jarmusch, but I think, in terms of Sundance, like on the one hand, they're grabbing these PBS documentaries and made for TV movies. But on the other hand, here they have the first Coen brothers movie. Here they have this early Jim Jarmusch movie. Like those are kind of the building blocks of what Sundance would become.
Yeah, and then it hoard itself out. But hopefully it gets back to some type of, I guess now it's more of like a documentary for him, right? Like, because all the narratives are like big Hollywood movies with big Hollywood stars, so to speak. I mean, of course there are a few that aren't, but it seems like documentaries, this is the marketplace where it sells now. Josh, let me tell you, Sundance, founded by Robert Redford, star of Out of Africa, which won Best Picture in 1985. So we covered it. What do you think of that, Josh?
That seems like exactly what we usually do.
We did it. How about that? Very exciting. The other nominees, The Color Purple, which Steven Spielberg even said that he wouldn't direct that today, I think, right?
Yeah, he did. And I mean, it's a good movie. It's better than Out of Africa.
I think The Color Purple for me is like one of the times where, Spielberg, we talk about often as a master of emotional manipulation. And sometimes it goes too far for me. And I feel like in this one it did. I didn't want to cry in that movie. And then the three others, of course, Kiss of the Spider Woman, which none of us have seen because we suck.
I have seen it.
Yeah, because you don't suck, Josh. Me and Dave do. William Hurt won Best Actor for that film. And it was just remade with J-Lo, which Dave saw, I believe.
I did.
Okay, you did. Peter Weir's Witness and Prizzy's Honor, which we've talked about in regards to John Huston, because his daughter, Angelica Houston, won Best Supporting Actress for that film.
And I have not seen either Prizzy's Honor or Witness, and I would like to. And Kiss of the Spider Woman I saw a long time ago, and I did not see the J-Lo remake, which was supposed to be good, right, Dave? It was good.
Yeah, Dave saw it.
Yeah, it's good. Dave liked it. Dave liked it.
Yeah, there you go.
Fair enough. So, Dave, your pick was The Return of the Living Dead. What else were you thinking of?
Well, obviously, as I picked this season, I had a lot of alternate picks. Although The Return of the Living Dead was the main reason I picked this year.
Wow, right.
Yes. So there you go. Also, Reanimator, though, came out this year, which is obviously along those same lines. I also have Crime Wave, the Sam Raimi film, which I absolutely love. Ghoulies, which I thought could have been fun for us to talk about. Life Force, which is absolutely wild, crazy movie. And then one other one, Remo Williams, The Adventure Begins, which my mom says was my favorite movie as a kid.
I know you've brought this up on the podcast before, how your mom has said that and you have no recollection of it. So
yeah, I finally rewatched it. I rewatched it last year. It's not great, but
well, then I'm glad we didn't go with that. But it's interesting to me that like almost everything on your list is like this sort of like weird cult horror stuff.
Yeah. Interesting year for that.
It does show that Kid Dave had just as bad taste as Adult Dave, though.
That's important.
I mean, Dave, you just mentioned Reanimator. That was on my list of potential cult classics for this year.
Yeah.
Year of the Dragon. Is that our guy Cimino? My guy Michael Cimino, right, Josh?
Maybe. I'm not sure, actually.
I think
so.
So.
I'm confusing it with The Last Dragon, the movie which could also have been in there.
I know. I think that although, so we had that and Better Off Dead as potential picks. And I think Better Off Dead and The Last Dragon have kind of usurped just cult classic status. Another one I had, To Live and Die in L.A., but that's been reclaimed, and that's a very good William Friedkin movie. There was one choice, Josh, and we had to go with it. Yuck! Oh, Jim Cotta.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those times. I mean, I think it's the same as the year that we did like the Rocky Horror Picture Show or The Room. Like certain movies like this that just loom so large among, cult classics. And obviously Jim Cotta was the one. And you are correct. Year of the Dragon is a Michael Cimino film, which I have not
beloved by
seen.
Quentin Tarantino, I think.
Well, there you go. Quentin Tarantino knows about cult movies. He does.
He does.
Yeah, he does.
When you Google Year of the Dragon, you get a picture of Quentin Tarantino. Very strange.
That's weird.
Yeah.
So is he like on the? Because I don't think it's been streaming for years. So maybe they just sell it like one of those like Rolling Thunder things from back in the day where it's like Quentin Tarantino presents Year of the Dragon or something.
Perhaps. I don't know.
You got to go to Quentin Tarantino's house to watch it.
I would do that. I would go there. Year of the Dragon, you can rent. You can still rent it. It's got Mickey Rourke. But Josh, Jim Cotta, greatest movie of the 80s. Do you agree?
Greater than Better Off Dead and The Goonies? Pee-wee's Big Adventure?
Fourth greatest movie of the 80s, maybe then?
I mean, as we said, it's bad. It's very bad. It's just a bad movie, but I understand why it's so strange and it's got so many weird factors coming together. I understand why it's a cult classic, and I hope I don't ever have to watch it again, having now seen it twice. So there you are. Finally, our audience choice episode, as I was mentioning earlier, we talked about animated movies based on toy lines. We ended up covering He-Man and She-Ra, The Secret of the Sword, which beat out the Rainbow Bright and Care Bears movies. And even though that He-Man movie is very bad, and I'm sure those other movies are also bad, I think animated feature films based on toys is also a quintessential 80s thing. So I'm glad that was what we went with.
I still wish we would have, I wish the audience wouldn't have sucked their own asses and would have picked the Care Bears movie. So we could have gotten the best one. But you sucked on this one, audience, you ass suckers.
Mm.
Jason, you are good with this. You came up with a lot of different categories.
So many.
Here. Yeah.
I had so many. Another thing that's quintessential 80s that I thought would have made perfect sense was High School Jocks, Teen Wolf, The Breakfast Club, Vision Quest, and Just One of the Guys. I think that would have been a good one. Movies with cities in the title: Escape from LA, To Live and Die in LA, The Purple Rose of Cairo, Goodbye New York. College Guys Partying, another big 80s theme. Fandango, which isn't Kevin Costner in that?
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
Fraternity Vacation. The Sure Thing, not my favorite Rob Reiner movie, but that's okay. Gotcha and Private Resort. Is that Jonathan Silverman and Johnny Depp, maybe?
Maybe. I don't know that one at all.
Yeah. I mean, John Hughes, this is right in the middle of John Hughes being, the king of the 80s. So that you could have done a whole audience choice on John Hughes because Weird Science and The Breakfast Club both came out, which he directed in National Lampoon's European Vacation. I believe he wrote, but that whole franchise is based on one of his stories.
Right.
There was so many, Josh. I had teen sex comedies, Porky's Revenge, Loose Screws, Tomboy, Teenage Girls Take Charge, Girls Just Want to Have Fun, which is a strange movie. Just One of the Guys in Billie Jean. I also thought that two other things, Josh. The Streets of New York, that would have fit for After Hours, Desperately Seeking Susan, The Last Dragon, Crush Groove, Year of the Dragon, Rappin', Prizzy's Honor, Turk 182, and Streetwalking. But the other big one that I really think we missed is action icons. This was prime 80s action icon territory. Invasion USA by Chuck Norris, now known as Chuck Dennis. Commando with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and the aforementioned Rambo 2 First Blood with Sly Stallone.
Yeah, I mean, and I think you are right in that this is really like a prime action era, and that was something that we missed, maybe other than Gymkata. So that would have been a possibility. I think I felt like that was a bit lopsided in that Rambo like loomed so large over those other ones that I didn't know it would have been much of a choice. But you are right that, I mean, and regardless of the specific movies, I mean, Stallone and Schwarzenegger and Chuck Norris are like defining figures of 80s action cinema.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Invasion USA is a more well-regarded Stallone one, and Commando, we all know, is Schwarzenegger, so who knows? But it's not First Blood; it's First Blood Part 2, so who knows if that would have been the pick?
Yeah, but First Blood, yeah, I mean, that was when Rambo became kind of like the pop culture image of Rambo. The initial First Blood is quite good, I think, and is very different. It's like good. A gritty 70s drama almost. So
I think the high school jocks, the teenage sex comedies, the action icons, John Hughes, like these are all building blocks of 80s cinema. Right?
I mean, that's true. I think the specific choices for this year maybe wouldn't have made for always the best options, but you're right. I mean, those are all major aspects of 80s cinema that we, have talked about in other seasons that we've done from the 80s, even if we didn't get to them this season. Also, I'm wondering how you got Escape from LA in there, the John Carpenter movie from 1996.
Maybe I was thinking Escape from New York. Was that this year?
No, that's earlier in the 80s. So I don't know what you were thinking.
I just messed it up. And that happens sometimes, and I can own that, Josh.
It's all right. It's okay. You did a lot there. Like I said, those were all you, I think, other than the animated one that we ended up going with. So that was, where we ended up the season. So also, as we always do at the beginning of the season, we posted on social media asking you, our listeners, about your favorite films from 1985. And I think going along with Jason's assertion that this is a great year, an awesome movie year, or a beloved year, we had a lot of suggestions and a lot of enthusiasm for this year. Our friend Victoria Ribeiro said, "Can you do this year twice?" Because she had so many suggestions. The movies that she suggested include Brewster's Millions, Real Genius. And I love, she said, "I wanted just one of the guys, but I removed it from my list because I thought it was too basic." But then she went back in and included it. And nothing is too basic for us here.
No, we're basic bitches, Josh.
We are. Stephen Hughes suggested Commando, Rocky IV, The Last Dragon, Porky's Revenge. He said the Care Bears movie, I'm being serious. So really a fan of that one. A View to a Kill, which is the James Bond movie from that year. Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. Godzilla 1985. And Legend. Our friend Luke Fredaluco suggested Better Off Dead.
Let me jump in there real fast. Rocky IV, iconic, maybe the second best of the series. I Must Break You. Ivan Drago, that's real primetime 80s stuff right there, Josh.
It is, yeah. I mean, and I think as I was saying earlier, like both that and the Rambo movies are these points where those Stallone characters turn from something gritty into these ridiculous, over-the-top, like patriotic figures.
Yeah, America's gonna fuck.
Exactly. So, but Luke Fredaluco, one of many people who suggested Better Off Dead. So, we'll have something for those people. Melissa DeLay Collins also said 1985 was an incredible year for movies. I was 10 and I lived at the movie theaters that year. She mentioned Cocoon and Mask and Jewel of the Nile. Eric Gladstone.
Cocoon, Josh.
Yeah.
Don Ameche won Best Supporting Actor for that film.
Have you seen Cocoon? I have not.
I think I have long time ago. So
yeah.
Also, I got a message from Luke Fredaluco who said, "Give us a little sloth, Josh. Ha ha ha. The Problematic Sloths are my favorite indie band. The Goonies episode is a great listen."
Well, I'm glad. Thank you, Luke, for listening, and I'm glad that he enjoyed the episode, even if maybe he didn't enjoy my take and Dave's take on on the film. Skip King, our former guest, suggested
Wait,
Witness.
didn't you say Eric Gladstone?
Oh yeah, Eric Gladstone's pick was Brazil, which we've mentioned.
Yeah.
ML Compton, who was also a former guest, mentioned The Company of Wolves, the Neil Jordan film, which is an interesting one. Karen Shack suggested Jagged Edge, Joe Dante's Explorers, and The Bride, which is a weird riff on The Bride of Frankenstein.
Well, what happened to Skip? You keep skipping people. Skip King.
Skip King mentioned Ran and Witness. I think I said that, but
no, you keep jumping, Josh.
I'm kind of going through, skipping things that we have mentioned already.
Yeah.
My sister Brandy Bell suggested the Jackie Chan film Police Story, as well as Follow
That's
That Bird.
That's a good movie and a crazy, some great sequences in that one.
I haven't seen that, but that is certainly one of the most well-known Jackie Chan films. Brandy also said that she watched Follow That Bird with her son. So, he's the right age. I feel like Scarlett is probably too old for Follow That Bird.
No,
right?
Hypothetically, but we love the Muppets. So I think, and we've watched Follow That Bird when she was younger, but it's just a good movie, man.
Yeah. All right. Now, well, maybe
even your nephew can appreciate it. And Brandy, if you're listening, Josh tells me he's a little slow.
did not say that at all, please. Lazarus Long suggested The Falcon and the Snowman. Miranda, The Mean Season. I'm not familiar with those necessarily. Let's see. I'm just trying to find some things that we haven't mentioned before. Dave, your wife Gina suggested a movie called Mansion of the Living Dead that she hasn't seen. Are you guys going to watch that?
Oh, we should. I didn't even know she mentioned that. I want to find out what that's all about.
I hope it's good because Dave tells me it takes Gina a long time to process things because, as he says, quote unquote, she's a little slow.
There we go. Rich Foster mentioned Phenomena and Das Boot, Runaway Train, and Sherman's March, the documentary, which because of weirdness with release dates, we actually covered.
Das Boot is from 1981.
All right. Well, I wonder if Das Boot might have not made it to theaters in the U.S. until 1987.
I think it was 82. It was 82 because didn't it get Oscar nominations? So I think it was shown in the U.S. in 82.
Okay. No, you're probably right. I didn't fact check these suggestions from our listeners, so they may be.
Well, that's okay. I got one wrong earlier, so now I've made us a whole again.
That's all good. But we do have a Sherman's March episode in our 1987 season. Finally. Ryan Olbrich, who always gives us the worst possible suggestions.
Or best.
Had a little story to tell. He said, in the fall of 1985, I was a freshman in high school, and every day there was at least one knucklehead who would sprint down the halls declaring their desire to be an airborne ranger and or live a life of danger. What a time to be alive. That being said, the 5 movies I'd like you to talk about are Gymkata, 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 and Father Guido Sarducci Goes to College.
Hey, those are all good picks, and maybe we'll have to get to Father Guido Sarducci, but at least we came through on the Gymkata front, saving Ryan's father from Parmistan.
Yeah, that was important. And at least Father Guido Sarducci, not that particular thing, but as a character, something that I'm familiar with as opposed to the weird, obscure things that Ryan dredges up. Like, wasn't there Fart the movie in there one time, I think, and other scatological things. Thank you, Ryan. We appreciate the effort that you must put in each time to find these ridiculous titles.
You know what, Josh? Not just Ryan, but everyone who suggests.
Of course. We do appreciate. I didn't get to everyone there. There's a lot of overlap in some of these suggestions, but we do really appreciate all of them. And one of the things that there is a lot of overlap of is Better Off Dead. And Jason, you want to plug what we're going to do there?
We're going to do an episode on Better Off Dead.
You were so enthusiastic.
He was so excited about it.
I mean, the way you set that up, what else could I do? I love Better Off Dead. Look, I can give you my rating right now, but just imagine it's 5 because that's probably what it'll be. I love it. I've seen it multiple times. I didn't see it as a kid, so I was one of those, like we talked about, latecomers to it, like the Goonies. But it's the perfect 80s comedy movie. It's so funny, so great. I know Dave is with me on this one. And normally I don't like agreeing with Dave, but I'm happy to agree with him. And I think, Josh, you like it too. So we're just pumped. Let's get to John Cusack land. Ain't Talking About Love, Howard Cosell impressions, $2 for the newspaper boy. Let's go. Better Off Dead bonus.
Wow. Yeah, I haven't seen it in a long time, so I think it'll be fun to revisit. So if you are a Patreon subscriber, that is where we will have our bonus episode coming up on Better Off Dead. Dave, what's the deal with our Patreon that we don't plug enough?
Yeah. The Produced by David Rosen Patreon, where I post bonus and advanced content from piecing it together from Awesome Movie Year, of course, and from my music career. You can check it out at patreon.com/bydavidrosen and get signed up for as little as $1 a month, or to get access to all that stuff, $3 a month. And yeah, I know, seriously. And lots of great stuff to check out over there. And you are supporting all of these projects.
Can you hear all the pop-up stuff?
Of course you can hear all the pop-up
then you
stuff.
should be paying me.
Don't undermine it, Jason. We want people to sign up, and thank you to the small number but dedicated number of people who are signed up for the Patreon. If you want to hear that Better Off Dead episode, sign up at patreon.com/bydavidrosen. So check out that Patreon. You can also check us out elsewhere online and on social media. Jason?
You can. And why don't you? I was already on it, Josh. Sometimes you need a dramatic pause. Hello.
You do.
Brother. See what I did there? I did it right in between. I had a farm once in Africa. Dramatic pause, Josh. We're at awesomemovieyear.com, Awesome Movie Year on Facebook and Instagram. I'm Gopher Jason on all the socials that are not anything but Letterboxd. I'm only on Letterboxd as Gopher Jason, so let's go there. If you tag any of our movies or watch any of them, tag it with Awesome Movie Year. Let us know what you think about them. Jason Harris Comedy, Jay Harris Comedy on all the socials. Josh, you hit him with your stuff.
Some old things for me at joshbellhateseverything.com. I'm at Josh Bell Hates Everything on Facebook, at Signal Bleed on Blue Sky and Letterboxd. And if you tag us on Letterboxd, tag Awesome Movie Year. We'd love to share your thoughts on our next epilogue episode. So please do on any of the movies that we've covered on the show. We always appreciate all the feedback, as we've said. And Jason, what's coming up in our next season?
Well, Josh, we're going to 1946. In the 70s, Josh, you remember we covered Duel, but in 1946, we're covering the box office champ, King Vidor's Duel in the Sun.
So tune in next time for our 1946 season premiere, Duel in the Sun, and thanks for listening to Awesome Movie Year.
Thank you for listening to Awesome Movie Year. Make sure to follow Awesome Movie Year on Facebook, at Awesome Movie Pod on Twitter, and at Awesome Movie Year on Instagram. And if you like the show, review us and rate us with 5 stars on Apple Podcasts.
An All Points West production, produced by David Rosen in Las Vegas.